Massachusetts, this is a big one, I think, so this is what I want to start with. The Massachusetts Supreme Court has ruled that because black men have reason to be fearful when encountering law enforcement, that it is no longer, police officers can only stop you for 2 reasons.
Okay.
Probable cause, or 3 reasons.
Well,
you're doing something.
Probable cause is like a million things, though.
Well, right, but it's the levels
one of the reasons that you can
suspicion.
Okay.
So the top one is they're witnessing a crime.
Yeah, they're doing something.
Then after that they have probable cause.
Okay.
Beneath that is reasonable suspicion.
Okay.
Okay. When the police pull up and you run away, that's reasonable suspicion. It's not probable cause. It's reasonable suspicion for them to chase you.
Okay.
Because you're probably not going to run if you're innocent. If you're not doing anything wrong.
Yes.
Okay? And I agree, if you run, you probably are running for a reason. Probably. So it's reasonable suspicion.
Unless you're out on a morning jog and there have been people stopped for that very reason and getting their ass beat because they have no ID on them.
Touche. But anyway, they apparently in August, a Boston police officer approached a woman who then jumped out of her vehicle and ran away, citing encounters between black men and the police in Boston. And the court recently ruled that they have a legitimate reason to fear, and so running from the police in and of itself is no longer reasonable suspicion.
Wait, the court ruled that people have can have a legitimate fear of police.
Right. So
like
running,
specifically police.
Yes. So running from the police, if you are a black person in Massachusetts,
you have to be black.
According to the court ruling so far, but anti-discrimination would mean it applies to everybody.
Right. Right, because it's not actually the law that they... Well, first of all, the Supreme Court can't make a law.
No,
yeah.
they...
Even in...
Right. What they actually did was interpret that running away no longer constitutes reasonable suspicion.
Okay.
That's what they actually determined.
They changed the interpretation.
They changed the interpretation of an existing law to say running away from the police in and of itself. Now, obviously, if they're arriving at the scene of a robbery and they see you running out the door of the business that was robbed, that's now probable cause.
Yeah.
It's no longer just reasonable suspicion.
But yeah. Okay.
But if reasonable suspicion is the litmus test, and this applies like with Freddie Gray, they chased him because of reasonable suspicion.
Okay.
That is no longer the case. Running away in and of itself is not reason for them to pursue you.
So anybody can run from the cops
in Massachusetts now. Yes. Now the reason that I bring that up is twofold. I'm not saying that there's, because I do agree that there are many instances where police have overstepped their bounds, and I do state for the record that if you are in a department and there are bad cops in your department and you know who they are and you are not doing everything in your power to make sure that justice is served, you cannot claim the mantle of a good cop.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's not to say that there are not good departments and good police. I'm not saying that at all. There are many good departments. There are many good police officers. However, setting the precedent that people can run from the police and not be suspected of doing something wrong is just as dangerous as the flip side that it's meant to stop.
Yeah.
It's an unintended consequence that is now making it harder for law enforcement to do their job. And that's one of the reasons that I personally push so hard for transparency in investigations, releasing the information after an investigation is done so that people know why a certain determination was achieved, so that you don't have this suspicion carry on, because you need trust between law enforcement and the community in order for the police to do their job.
Yep.
So if people do abuse their power, you need to come down on them, and you need to come down on them hard. And not just police. People who abuse their public trust need to be held accountable. I would argue that people in such a prestigious position could be held to a higher level of scrutiny. For example, a accountant who intentionally cooks books because that's their area of expertise should be held to a higher standard than you or I cooking the books.
Well, yeah, a fucking course.
Fireman who starts arsons, who burns buildings down. A doctor who intentionally commits malpractice.
Yep, a criminal who's
a police officer who is willfully negligent or willfully.
So where are you going with this?
Well,
droning on now.
My point is this law, or this change in how the law is interpreted, actually makes us less safe, but it's not unjustified. And the fact that we've created that situation is fucked up.
Question about that law. Does it apply if you just see a cop, you just take off running, or if a cop actually tries to stop you or say something?
If you see a cop and it applies anytime the cop does not have probable cause or other reasonable suspicion.
So whenever you're in eyesight of a cop, well, not here, Massachusetts. Whenever you're in eyesight of a cop,
run like hell.
You just run.
So if a
but the law applies then, but you're running and it doesn't matter. He
So-
doesn't have probable cause on you.
So like if they're staking out a drug house and you come up to the door, exchange paper bags and then run away,
That's probable.
probable cause. So
Right.
that it doesn't apply. But if you're a group of kids sitting on the corner and the police officer pulls up to find out what you're doing because it's odd for a group of kids to be sitting on that corner, if you run away, they can no longer assume something was going on.
So it's basically just enforcing the fact that if someone, you say to a cop, am I being detained, they have to say yes or no at that point. If they say no, you're free to go. Otherwise, they have to have a reason.
Well,
to
actually,
hold you.
this is saying they can't detain you if you
Unless,
run.
yeah.
They can't pursue you if you run.
Okay.
Like if the cop comes up and says, "Excuse me," and you're like, "Whoa," and take off. Unless they thought you were doing something else that was a crime,
Which
that they can justify.
that almost immediately invalidates the whole thing right there.
Well,
I thought you were committing a crime.
Well, they have to have probable cause. There's a burden of they would have to then go
you were
to
running
court.
out of a vehicle. I thought there might be
Nope.
something suspicious in the vehicle.
No, because that doesn't
If you
work.
see
A
a
cop can say
lighter
they
in the center
smelled
console
marijuana
or a
and have
pencil,
probable cause.
If
what
they
was the-
smelled marijuana,
well,
that
yes.
would be probable cause.
Well, what was the list of like 20 things that were not contraband, paraphernalia?
paraphernalia?
A cell phone.
But
you just have to
certain
look into your car and say, "Hey, I saw your cell phone." Paraphernalia.
cell
Probable
phones not
cause.
paraphernalia. And in some states you can have paraphernalia. You just can't use
Yes.
Or have THC on it.
it. Right. You
Well-
can't. But reasonable search and
In
seizure.
Colorado and Seattle, you could.
Right.
But even in Wisconsin, I think
Washington.
you can have a
Washington.
pipe
Seattle
because you could use
Seattle
it for
City,
tobacco.
yeah. I've done geography.
Fact
You
checked.
You could be using a water pipe for tobacco.
Yes, you could. I don't know who the fuck does, but you could.
But you could.
Yeah.
So you could, in theory, have a
Well,
water
I
pipe
suppose
sitting in
a
your
hookah.
car,
Yeah.
a hookah,
Yeah.
A corn cob.
corn cob, and that's sitting in your car. But that, in and of itself, isn't probable cause either. So you run.
Mm. Okay.
They can't search your car. You're not there to give consent.
But what judge is going to say, no, well, I stopped this guy, he took off running, I want a warrant for the search of that car. They can stop you from going to your car if they're under the process of doing
Okay,
that.
but how
Oh,
are you
yeah.
going to get a warrant? Under what grounds?
That you ran from
Well,
them.
that's not
when
probable
No,
cause
that's not
anymore.
probable cause. It's not reasonable suspicion. Running doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, that's what this changes.
That's what it
That
changes.
is-
That's why I'm saying this is a dangerous precedent to set. That this is bad because it makes the job of the police officers that much harder.
Didn't they set or change a law or do something somewhere where escaping prison isn't a crime because it's human nature not to be detained?
I had not heard about that.
I haven't heard anything about that.
I was
At
like,
least I know that's not the
yeah.
truth. That's not the case in Wisconsin.
Well,
I've sat on the jury for cases like that. No. So we're actually voting this season. So I give 3 fucks about that because I think it sets a dangerous precedent. It doesn't apply to this part of the country, so I can't give more yet reasonably.
yeah,
If
yeah.
it was in
it's only
Wisconsin,
Massachusetts. I get
I
you.
would give more.
Not even in my time zone.
Right.
I'd give 2 fucks for about the same reason. It's in Massachusetts. Do I look like I'm gonna run from a cop to start with?
Well, I don't fucking run.
Like
from
exactly.
nothing.
That's. Well, I think you should
But
give
the
less
other
fucks.
thing is, it doesn't specify physically running. It just says fleeing.
Fleeing. Okay.
So in theory,
crawling,
as long as I don't
any nature in which you're getting away
driving
from
my
the
car,
police.
riding my bike, as long as I'm not breaking laws, leaving.
Oh,
I
I didn't think
don't
about
have
that.
to
Does it say fleeing?
It
Really?
says fleeing.
It's not. Okay. Well,
I'm pretty sure. I
I
pulled
see.
it
because
up.
that would definitely.
1 hour later.
And it's not saying that the cops still can't pull somebody over and they can't tackle them and bring them to the ground. It's not saying that at all.
Yeah.
It's saying that
The next time it happens,
that the
somebody can
jury, if a
bring it up.
jury convicts based only on that evidence,
Okay.
they're saying that they'll overturn that because that's not enough evidence for them to.
Gotcha.
Well, our laws are always reactionary. So,
Well, that's
but
because that's
I
what
just
laws
mean
are,
that
yeah.
the same thing you just said applies to a murder case. You know what I mean?
I know. That's why I give 1 because until this plays out,
it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, nothing changed.
I disagree with you that it doesn't matter. I don't think that you give the judicial system as much weight as it deserves. But that's all right. We have a right. We can disagree. I always
I think
expect
that
your right to be wrong.
there's a lot more gonna happen with this.
Oh, I think so too. I just think
And the thing is
precedent
the opinion that they gave is illegal and unconstitutional.
How so?
Because they can't. You said it, Ben. They cannot. Their opinion needed to be based on everyone because everything has to apply equally to everyone under the law.
It says that.
But
I just stopped
he's,
reading.
no, they said the
You said
black
specifically
men.
Black men.
Right.
Their opinion said black men specifically.
Yeah.
Right.
So black women don't
This
count.
is being incorrectly reported. It didn't say that black men have the right to flee. We all have a right to flee.
Who
That's
said that?
the case. I'm still reading it.
That's the reporter?
I'm reading the judges what they're
Oh, okay.
quoting the court saying. If a cop comes up to you and says, "I want to talk to you," you should say to him, "You and I both know I don't have an obligation to talk to you, and I'm leaving." And that can happen by walking or running away.
That's not how that works.
Well, there's the difference is we're in Wisconsin. We're in Wisconsin. You are required to provide identification to the police officers if they ask for it, under 3 specific circumstances. But you are never going to prove to court that you didn't have a reason for it.
Okay.
If they think you have committed a crime, are committing a crime, or will commit a crime in the future, Wisconsin police have a right to stop you and ask for your identification.
Okay.
But you have to prove that the cop wasn't thinking that you may have committed a crime, are committing a crime, or may commit a crime in the future. And until we develop the technology from Minority Report,
I was going to say
that is impossible to prove.
we need the Future Crimes Department.
But so in Wisconsin, you legally have to stop and identify yourself.
Okay.
And provide insurance paper or electronic representation of an insurance card, which the Wisconsin.
If you're in a car.
If you're in a car.
Driving a car.
Actually, the law doesn't say in a car, but we all know it does apply to car insurance. But it says if the police officer demands proof of insurance, you are required to provide either
Here's
a
my
physical
dental
copy
insurance.
or they have to accept electronic or printed out PDF.
Okay.
But I don't think that law specifically identifies being in a car.
Massachusetts Supreme Court. What was it? Like the right to flee. Right to flee. Spelled Massachusetts wrong. Oh no. It says black men. Gotta love when the news reports it that way. Let's see. Black men. Black man.
Well, it says
black
that
man,
because the case
black
that they
people.
were the case that they were trying was specifically about a black person. And it says in here the news is reporting it wrong.
Okay, they're reporting it really wrong, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because of that.
Look at
that
this
is,
shit.
That is a. I'm just what is said there and what we were talking about. That is not illegal.
Here is the actual opinion from the court.
It depends. If the actual
judge
opinion
should've
from the
known
court
better.
doesn't say that, and it's just the fucking news, being a bunch of shitheads. I'm
Would
okay with
that
that.
surprise you?
No, it wouldn't
which is
surprise
good.
me, and that's the thing.
Right.
Because they're just trying to get people riled up.
Fucking A.
So again, I'm very, very firmly attached to my one. Now, even more so than before. In fact,
I was originally about 3,
Yeah.
but now I'm pretty low.
Yeah?
I'd say 1.
because it sounds to me
One
like
fuck.
they just redefined the fact that
That's what all courts do.
they just said, "Hey, that was too vague," and
Don't do that again.
right.
And then if you do, we'll
And
talk
it would have
about
been the same thing
All
if they
the
would have
court-
had a search warrant based on the same information. The Supreme Court would have thrown out the search warrant, and anything that they would have found
Yeah.
underneath
Right.
that warrant is thrown out. Therefore, the conviction and everything else that, you know what I'm saying, the real evidence
Mhm.
that they found.
So in Massachusetts,
overruled.
running alone, if the police are in an area where a
And
crime
they
has
have
been
nothing
committed,
else.
Yes.
Nothing else. No.
If they see a guy and they're
no,
like, hey,
if
you-
they have nothing specific, because any of us
Right.
this morning would have said, if you have 3 people who roughly meet the description, even a vague description like that, and the police pull up and they run, they are probably your robbery suspects. I think we all would have said that.
Yeah.
Whether
No,
they're
it's
black,
not.
white, Mexican, yellow, orange, blue,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. The thing is, that's no longer admissible. So if they would have ran, and if the police would have found proof that they had committed the crime, that's fruit of the forbidden tree.
Yep.
It wasn't last month.
Okay.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay, I disagree. Okay, so you give 1 fuck?
We got 1, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Out of a scale of 5, I assume is what
Mhm.
we're doing still. Scale of 5 fucks. All right, 5 fucks.